Hi guys, in this tutorial I want to take a look at using SOuP and the Copier node to create special effects like this one. So it's just mimicking the Lego type effect that was popular a few years ago, and so over the next couple of tutorials I just want to show how to implement that technique through some special effects. So here is an explosion, probably not a very good one at that, but it just kind of shows you how one can use SOuP to implement blocks on special effects, such as particles and Maya fluids. So let's take a look at how that's done. So what I've got here already is I've just built a fluid, animated fluid. Now this one is just using the preset from Maya's standard preset fluid presets, and I think most of it's already animated for you. I just touched it up a little bit just to get the colours right at the end, and to shrink it as well so I get smaller. So that's the only thing I've done to it myself, and I've also just added some particle ejector debris as a secondary part of the effect. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hide the particles for now, and we're just going to concentrate on the fluid first. So what we want to do here to start off with is we just want to select the fluid. Now I'm not going to obviously go into how to create an explosion. I'm just going to go into the how to actually do the Lego type effect. So what you do is you to start off with, you select the fluid, and then if we go into modify and convert the fluid to polygons, and we'll have a mesh made for us. Let me just zoom in here. You'll see I've got my fluid here and the mesh. So we can play around with the mesh a little bit. If we go back into the fluid and have a look at the output mesh here, we've got quad mesh, and we could add some smoothing to it if we like, 1 or 2. We don't have to worry about this too much, and the resolution probably doesn't really matter either if we just keep it low, just for the argument's sake, just to keep the simulation nice and quick. And if we just turn off velocity per vertex, because essentially we want to translate the fluid colours into the mesh, so we just want to colour per vertex on there. Actually I believe it's already done it, so if you turn on display colours, you'll see that the colour channels have converted across nicely, and we can turn off our wireframe on shaded. So we've got that bit working, which is awesome. And now that we've got our mesh and our vertex colours, the rest of it's pretty easy. We create a VoxelGrid node, and we can play around with the voxel scale in a minute. And also from there we just want to create a point on mesh info node. So the VoxelGrid just basically just creates a voxelized grid around the mesh, and we can control the scale here. Obviously the smaller the value, the tighter the mesh is going to be, and the points on mesh info just gives us more control on how we want to feed the points into the Copier node. So we essentially just want the voxel positions for example, and I'll change this parameter down here in the moment, but if I just create a Copier node first, and I need an output mesh for that as well, so if I just create polycube, I can delete the make node. If I just feed the cube into, or feed the copier into the cube. Now this, at the moment, obviously the cube is sitting over our fluid, which is not what's going to happen eventually, but I need to hook up the points on mesh info node into the copier node, as well as provide an instance object for the copier. So I'm just going to create another cube, and if I scale that down, but I need to hide the other one. Scale it down a bit. Okay. Select my cube. In fact, if I just need to hide that as well. So I'll keep scaling that down, just so it's got a quite small. And then if I just freeze transforms on that, and if I throw that into the copier, if I select the shape first, then the copier node, I'll get the copier node in my attribute editor, and I can just go add, and that'll add the transform here for me. Okay, so if I now want to, I'll just show the mesh again, fluid mesh, and also want to show my cube. Okay, so once I start to input the out position into the pos array, one thing I also need to do is I need to feed the mesh shape into the points on mesh info, so the points on mesh info node knows what mesh to work on. And there we have our little cubes. Obviously not exactly what we're after, but we can play with that. So I always like to just toggle on hard soft edges on the copier node, just to give it a nice flat look, and inherit vertex color as well. Now the vertex color, we've got to turn on the colors from the points on mesh, and then display colors as well in the cubes. And I think we have to also pipe the points on mesh RGB values into the RGB array. And if I just flick display colors on again, there we go. So our cubes have got inherited in colors from the fluid mesh. So just to explain it quickly, if it was a little bit confusing for you. So we've got our mesh from the fluid object, and we've inherited the colors from the fluid into the poly shape mesh. And we're feeding that into a VoxelGrid, which is going to create a grid based on the voxel scale values here. And we can reduce that down, and you'll see that the grids are becoming more populated. Also need a points on mesh info node just to have more control over the placement of the boxes. So in this case, I'm just going to do inside, and we're going to use original points. If I use both, you'll notice that the VoxelGrid is actually using the bounding box, bounding box of the poly shape area, and we don't want that. We just want the inside. And if I hide that mesh shape, you'll see that my little cubes are inside there. So obviously we want a little bit more detail in there, so we can just make it a little bit smaller. There, if we push play, Okay, so getting some good connection there. Not sure what that is, but it's obviously part of the fluid. If I go into viewpoint 2 is already on, and we've got our ambient occlusion as well. So at this stage we don't have any control over the scale except for the actual scale of the original cube itself, but we can control the scale quite easily by we're just going to introduce the create array node. And so basically we're just going to create a scale from out of nothing, but we just need the point count from the VoxelGrid. We need the point count that gets piped into the mesh info node, so we can just use a connection editor for this. And if we use the out count from the points on mesh info, and we just throw that into the length. So it's basically just saying we want to create a brand new array, but we need a length, which can be any custom number that we want, but we actually want it particularly to be the amount of points that are being fed through the points on mesh info node and into the position array. So we want to use the same amount value and throw that into the length, and now we can play around with we want the output type to be a vector. And let's just say we want our cube just a little bit bigger, so we can just go 1.2 for example. 1.2, and now if we throw that into the scale array, you can see that our cube just got a little bit bigger. And so if we just make that 1.3 this time, 0.3, 0.3, you can see that we get a nice position of cubes, or nice scale there, nice tucked in. Or alternatively we can just use the ramp and we can start to play around with the colour really here as well. So there, two. Okay, so I reckon probably maybe a little bit less. Let's go to 1.2.5. Okay, so now we push play. Oops, get rid of my outliner. Can hide that as well. We get our nice little voxelized explosion, fluid explosion. Yeah. Okay, so that's that part. The second part is the particles. So if we bring up our layers, just turn on our particle shape, push play. Okay. In fact, I might just make the speed of that emitter a bit faster. So that's the ejector particles. Oops, turn on our outliner. Got a little bug there. It's, the outliner doesn't want to play nicely for me, so I'm just going to go to the emitter 1 and increase the away from center to 20. Random direction. And maybe speed random as well, just increase that a little bit. So we just get the ejector particles just coming up a little bit faster. Here we go. And we might want to increase the amount of particles as well, but we can play with that later. So basically, these two ways we can do this. We can create another copier node and feed it through, or we can merge our point positions and just have one copier node. But I'm going to have two copier nodes because it's probably a lot easier to control each effect. So now you just create another copier node, and you could basically, let's have a look, see what we've got here. So array blend or combine arrays. So we can try it. Let's try combine arrays, and we can use the same cube shape there, and see the point position. Should be able to just go directly into build position into pos array, and I'm thinking we might be able to out data an array, combine our arrays into here, out an array into mesh, and that might not work. Okay, no, it's not going to be. Alright, that's right. So we get rid of that. Okay, we can create another one. Just duplicate that one. Mesh. Okay. Okay, so we can again. So you've got some shading on there. We can toggle soft and hard. Okay. And we've got display colors turned on. Yep. And we can just pipe the RGB PP into the RGB PP array. And sometimes you just need to flick display colors on if it's going to work. It should do. So you check, got RGB PP array mapper on there. So I've got a shader on there, my particles. So oh, there we go. So inherit vertex color. Turn that on. And if we go back, there we go. So now we've got our little Lego legalized particle explosion. And that's how you do your Lego explosion effects in Maya and SOuP. So there could be another way. As you can see, the only problem with the mapping the particle position straight through into the copier position is that you get kind of overlapping cubes and not this nice VoxelGrid type effect. So this is by far the fastest way to do it with particles. Another way that you could do it is to do the same thing that I did with the fluid shape and convert. So I'll just save that. So and you can convert end particles to polygons. Okay. It's got our polygon surface here. And again, I just cut that from the Copier node. And again, if we just go in and have a look at the output mesh, I turn off my Copier node stuff and the output mesh. We want color per vertex, not velocity. Okay, make this quads. Now I think triangle size, here we go. Okay. Maximum triangle resolution, maybe bring that up to 500, even 1000, 1, 2, 3. I don't know, is this going to work or not? Maybe. 3, put on to 3. Increase the blobby radius a bit. So we've got some. Just take it down to 2. Thing is, we don't want to make it too. It doesn't need to be too refined because we're not actually using it for the render. We're actually just using it as a base structure for our cubes. So display colors. So we get our colors from our mesh this time. So it's the same thing as what we did down here. We create a voxel grid. Like so. And we know we've got to need to reduce that down a bit. And also points on mesh info node. We need to plug the build mesh into there so it knows what mesh we're talking about. You want original points, positions, we just want inside the stage. I'm going to switch on colors as well, and so that's just going to go straight into the out position deposit array, and then out RGB to in RGB. Hide our cube now, and we want to unhide our cube, sorry, and we want to hide our mesh. Okay, in our VoxelGrid, drop it right down. Just thinking about it. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Okay, so we're getting some pretty cool stepping, and I think that's a good value. What's the value here? 4.92, 4.492, sorry, 0.492. I'll probably take it back again, 0.3. Thought turning the envelope off would actually allow me to put the value in the voxel scale without it thinking about it, but it didn't. 3.2, there we go. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, it kind of takes a while to think about it. And I'm assuming, although it creates nice grid-like structure, it's sacrificed time it takes to calculate. Can't say that I've got the fastest computer either, but so if I just hide node editor and see what we've got here, and I don't know, let's just try doing play blast. That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. I mean, like I said, my computer's not the fastest. In fact, it's probably pretty slow. So on a decent system, you're probably not going to have any issues with the calculation. But yeah, it is a lot slower than the just piping the particle position straight into the Copier node in position, as you can see. So yeah, there we have it. Hope you enjoyed that, and look for the next VoxelGrid issue. I have another pretty nifty effect for you to take a look at. So yeah, I'll see you then. Thanks for listening in, and I'll see you soon. See you.